Avatar is a franchise that marked my late teens, easily one of the best that I have seen so far. Avatar: The Last Airbender. And yes, I did say late teens because my whole thing is missing out on shit. I first watched this at 17, when I was in a rough spot in my life, and this was what gave me hope to keep going, keep pushing forward, and become a better person. I had decided upon my favorite character ever since episode 3, and it hasn't changed to this day. Uncle Iroh is my GOAT, easily the most compelling character in this amazing show. Recently, Season 2 of the Netflix live action aired and sparked interest in the franchise again by reportedly butchering our beloved characters. I wouldn't know, I haven't watched it yet. I just can't bring myself to watch any more live action remakes. They almost always miss the mark and trade storytelling beats and characterization for attempts at aura farming. I might just watch it though, just to make a video on it, because the clips I saw were just...
I'm Top Faker, and I invented metal bending.
Disclaimer: do not harass anyone involved in the production of the Netflix live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender, including actors, screenwriters, producers, and directors. Do not harass any of them, as it is not their fault that the show turned out the way that it did. The only ones to blame are the corporate overlords over at Paramount. Direct your ire at them because they are billionaires and pieces of shit, and not at the people who are directly involved, as it is not their fault. Thank you for your understanding. But I'm not here to talk about either show today. Instead, I will be tackling what is, in my opinion, the best follow-up to the original animated series, The Legend of Korra. Yes, you heard me right. I am a fan of Avatar Korra, and I have been ever since watching it right after Avatar. Now, this show has its flaws, and Korra is not the most likable of protagonists initially, keyword, but seasons 3 and 4 specifically made the rougher moments worth sitting through. However, many people online do not share the same sentiment. There were and still are so many who despise Korra, both the show and the character, saying she's a Mary Sue, a brat, too aggressive, hot-headed, and jumping into action with no thought beforehand, and also dating her entire friend group throughout the show. Now, all of these criticisms have a varying degree of validity, but I am concerned that a certain group of people are hating on this for more nefarious reasons, and I am here to separate the more valid criticisms from the more misogynistic ones. Because yes, believe it or not, even the Avatar franchise has its pieces of shit. I would know, I used to be one of them. In this video, I will go season by season and make my case for Avatar Korra to restore her honor. Especially now when the Seven Havens trailer dropped, where Korra is painted as the reason the world went to shit. I will watch that too when it comes out, because I personally believe this is an intentional misdirection and it plays off of the real world hate for Korra.
She's strong.
She lacks restraint.
Woohoo! Hey, why all the doom and gloom, people? We should be celebrating. 3 elements down, 1 to go.
What is a Mary Sue? Its original meaning is a character, most of the time a woman, who overcomes hardship and challenges with relative ease, without facing severe consequences and undergoing character growth. Recently, however, this term has been corrupted by elements of the far right, notably the media grifters I tackled in this video. They use Mary Sue as a dog whistle to hide their misogyny and disdain for strong female characters. The main trio they use is Rey from Star Wars, Captain Marvel from MCU, and live-action Mulan. But one character who also suffered a similar fate was Korra in Season 1. Set 70 years after Avatar: The Last Airbender, it takes place primarily in Republic City, the capital of a former Fire Nation colony in the Earth Kingdom, which became independent due to Avatar Aang and his friends. Within the first few minutes, we get to see our main character for the first time as a small child, a girl in the Southern Water Tribe, who can already bend water, earth, and fire. This is a scene many love to point to for the Mary Sue argument, She was way younger than Aang was when he embarked on his avatar quest, and she already mastered 3 of 4 elements? No, she didn't. She only discovered that she can bend them. She is nowhere near master level. It would take another 10 years for her to actually master them, and even then, airbending proves especially difficult for her. Not even mentioning the whole spiritual thing, which will be tackled in Season 2. The people making this dumbass claim off of this scene can't tell the difference between ability and mastery, so let me hold your hand and briefly explain. The Avatar inherently possesses the ability to bend all 4 elements. When they first unlock their ability is up to any individual Avatar, and Korra just so happened to unlock multiple elements at a young age. But she is nowhere near a master. To help make my case, I will bring up the original series, specifically when Aang tries to earthbend. He struggles throughout the episode, but at the very end, he finally moves his first rock. However, Toph is the one to free Sokka from the hole he fell in, telling Aang this.
Actually, you should probably let me do that. You're still a little new to this. You might accidentally crush him.
Yeah, no crushing, please.
Toph is an earthbending master. She had years worth of experience, while Aang just started out. She even tells him he needs to improve in the finale of Season 3, a whole few months after he started earthbending. Another criticism for Korra is that she gets into romantic relationships with everyone in her group. She dates Bolin once, then kisses Mako and gets into a relationship with him at the end of Season 1. They break up twice in Season 2 and ends up with Asami in the finale. While I agree that the love triangle stuff is where the show is at its worst, I would argue that this isn't completely unprecedented. Sokka had 4 love interests throughout the show, more than Korra. He was even on the brink of a love triangle himself, and he's talked of highly because of it. He is called the ultimate backbender for a reason. Thus, I believe that while this criticism does have merit, as it is handled poorly, it might have some misogynistic aspects to it. If you slander Korra for having 3 love interests, why not slander Sokka for having 4? Oh, is it because he's a guy and him getting girls is cool, while Korra is ran through and an easy woman? Right. The main villain of Season 1 is Amon, with easily the best voice acting in the entire series for a villain, and with a very interesting motive that was never touched upon in the original: non-bender discrimination and a strive for equality. The OG Team Avatar created Republic City with benders in mind. The city council is made up entirely of benders from all nations. All the cops are metal benders. Many non-benders are homeless and are even segregated in different neighborhoods, a metaphor for how African Americans were treated in the US until the Civil Rights Act. This breeds resent and presents an opportunity for Amon to rise to power and win over the non-benders of Republic City by promising a revolution and liberation from their oppression, which he first displays during the revelation by taking bending away from a bunch of criminals. The equalist movement has been compared to communism and socialism more often than not, and while I can see the similarities, a strive for equality and social justice, those two present a fundamental difference. In our world, the main vehicle for inequality is wealth. Some are born rich, but many are not, and cannot climb the wealth ladder due to a lack of opportunities. And socialism is based on wealth redistribution, taking it away from the rich and distributing it to those in need, whereas the equalists want to take bending away from all benders, which oftentimes is an inherent part of their identity, including for Korra. She defines herself by her success in mastering the elements, and taking that away sparks a fear of being worthless. While our modern-day billionaires could live just fine if 99% of their wealth would be taken away, any bender losing their bending would rock their world. It could contribute to them losing their job, as we see with Lin Beifong, or losing their entire identity and self-worth with Korra, outright saying she's no longer the Avatar, and Amon is painted almost like a horror villain due to it, rather than someone with good intentions for the people. This sparks fear amongst benders, as high as the city council itself, where we meet the secondary antagonist of Season 1, Tarrlok, who creates a task force to deal with the Equalists and eventually proposes a law to enforce a curfew for all non-benders, which leads to the arrest of innocents, including Asami, Mako, and Bolin. This is a staple of a fascist government, creating an even bigger divide between benders and non-benders, something you are born with. Very similar to how Nazi Germany targeted the Jews and other minorities. This oppression does nothing but play into Amon's hands, as he becomes more powerful than ever and becomes emboldened to stage his coup of a public city. My one big issue with this season is that all it takes to dissolve the Equalist movement is exposing Amon as a bender, almost as if eliminating the face of a radical ideology immediately solves the problems that led up to it. Just because Amon was a hypocrite does not delegitimize the decades of discrimination against non-benders, the fascist policies proposed and enforced by Tarrlok, and the cause for equality. And yet, the show treats it as if the problem is solved. The council is disbanded and replaced with a president who, as far as we know, is a non-bender, which is the equivalent of people pointing to Obama being president at one point and say racism has been ended, even though we don't really see any more significant changes. We don't see anything being done about the homelessness. Sure, we no longer see the homeless people, but that's just because they are no longer the focus of the story. They still might be there, they might still be homeless, and we may never know it, because the show doesn't explore it. This is my one big problem with Season 1, and I suspect it was an instance of corporate overreach, as Nickelodeon and Paramount would never let a kids show explore something like racial and wealth inequality in a more nuanced manner and showing how we can actually solve it, as they knew they would put their entire careers and wealth in danger by doing so. Another issue I have with Season 1 is how quickly Korra regains her bending by summoning Aang, which feels a little cheap to me. I get the message that we're open to the greatest change when we're at our lowest. It's an amazing message, and it most certainly applies to real life. But I fear that low point didn't have time to sink in and didn't have the impact it warranted. Again, this is because originally Korra only had one season and the writers had to give it a conclusive ending, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it feels like a cop-out from creating permanent consequences. But other than these, I still enjoy Season 1 a decent bit. Korra is decently likable, and Amon and Tarrlok are compelling villains.
You're running out of time, Rama. I know you feel it coming.
Now Season 2 is where they fucked up. Season 2 is easily the weakest in the series. It is not even close, and it is so frustrating to sit through, because it has so much potential. We learned that in the aftermath of the 100-Year War, the Southern Water Tribe has lost its connection to the spirits, and this prompted them to darken and attack humans in their area. Due to this, Unalaq, the chief of the Northern Water Tribe and Korra's uncle, takes a trip to the south and claims to want to restore that connection. Now this guy is frying me as he perfectly encapsulates my problems with this season as a whole. He is set up as a benevolent outsider who wants to restore an essential tradition to keep people safe, but he is slowly revealed to have a sinister goal. This is where they fuck up, as he doesn't just want to take over the South. He wants to, get this, fuse with the ultimate dark spirit and become a dark avatar. For context, we are given a backstory in the middle of the season. It's revealed that the first avatar fused with the light spirit, Rava, after unknowingly freeing the dark spirit, Vaatu, from her control. To redeem himself, he fights Vaatu after fusing with Rava during harmonic convergence, sealing him away. Now, harmonic convergence is underway again, and Vaatu will once again be free. And Unalaq wants to fuse with it to destroy the Avatar and Rava, and to plunge the world in 10,000 years of darkness. What? What kind of cartoonish motivation is that? He was set up so well as a manipulator and someone who wants political power, but now he just wants to be a god. Also, they done fucked up the spirits, as they do away with the original concept of spirits from Avatar The Last Airbender being abstract and otherworldly with a different moral compass that evades human understanding. But here they just become binary, light and dark, good and evil, a simplistic Western Christian dichotomy instead of the Asian concepts of yin and yang, push and pull, where neither one can exist without the other. Instead here, one must destroy or overpower the other, breaking the balance. Avatar draws heavily from Asian culture, with the Taoist yin and yang, the Hindu chakras, and Chinese martial arts being on full display in the original show. In contrast, the Legend of Korra seems to have been colonized by Western ideals for good versus evil, which is a shame. Many have also pointed out that ancient benders were granted bending by the lion turtles was a retcon, that it contradicts the original lore, where they learned from original benders like badger moles, dragons, sky bison, and the moon.
That's rough, buddy.
I'm gonna push back on this talking point. It's shown within the backstory that one is gifted the ability to firebend by the lion turtle, but a dragon is in the background while he is mastering it. Again, ability versus mastery. The original benders taught them how to bend. They didn't gift them the capacity. Another issue people have with this season is Korra losing her connection with her past lives, saying it is as if it's her fault entirely. I can see where this is coming from, but I disagree with this notion. Unalaq is a master manipulator. Out of himself, her father, and Tenzin, he is the only one to acknowledge that her being effectively under house arrest for over 10 years was a bunch of bullshit. The others tell her it was for her protection, which it started out as. Sure, that's what Aang wanted. But until she ran away, she didn't get to experience the rest of the world. She couldn't be more different than Aang if she tried. And that's another reason people dislike Korra, the character. She is not Aang. She is hot-headed. She rushes into battle. She is confrontational where there's no need to. But that was an intentional matter of characterization. She is not the same as the previous Avatar, but that's the point. Aang was a pacifist in a world of war, which required decisiveness and dealing with enemies permanently. But Korra is a warrior in a world at peace, where diplomacy is the golden standard, and the nations mostly get along better than 100 years prior. There's no more definitive, overarching threat which encompasses an entire war-hungry, nationalist state, but rather more subtle and unconventional threats that need more empathy and understanding. Most of the time, she fell victim to Unalaq's manipulation because he gave her the sentiment that she was wronged by the people who are closest to her, until her father gets arrested and narrowly dodges a death sentence. By the time she realizes she has been played, it's way too late. A spirit portal was opened. The northern troops have occupied the south, and harmonic convergence is weeks away. By the time she finally makes it back to the spirit world, Unalaq had befriended a few spirits, including one Shi-Tong, and takes Genora hostage, forcing Korra to open the other portal, making Vaatu ready to break out. And when he did, he fused with Unalaq to create the... Don't make me say this again. Dark Avatar. Folk. Then he proceeds to restrain Korra and rip Rava out of her body, before proceeding to destroy it, severing her connection to the past lives, including Aang. People blame Korra for this, not realizing that this scene was a somewhat child-friendly depiction of SA, which is a sad reality, even from family members, and people blaming Korra for Rava being ripped from her is very tone-deaf and reads as victim-blaming. It's the same as saying that Zuko getting his iconic scar was entirely his fault, when in reality, Ozai was a fuck-ass abusive father and took it out on his son when he said something he deemed as disrespectful. Sure, whatever you say. The finale is also the least impactful, as it's just a kaiju fight between light and dark, with Genora giving Blue Korra a spiritual boost to finally destroy Vaatu. Congratulations. Also, she decides to keep the spirit portals open. I don't know how to feel about this. I mean, in this particular reimagining of the spirits, it makes sense. But if we take the original spirits from Avatar: The Last Airbender, oh fuck no! No spirits the likes of Ko the Face Stealer have access to the human world. He's gonna straight up steal everyone's face. What were you thinking? Yeah, this season isn't great, but I promise it gets better.
When you base your expectations only on what you see, you blind yourself to the possibilities of a new reality.
Season 3 is my personal favorite, and those who have seen it like it too, which kinda makes it the season I have the least to say about. After the harmonic convergence, multiple non-benders have gained airbending, and Tenzin takes it upon himself to train them and create the new Air Nation. I like that many people don't immediately accept his invitation, as that would mean compromising their current lives. They would be separated from their family for months or even years. Rejection is a realistic and natural response, and instead they recruit people who are already imprisoned by the Earth Queen, plus this kid called Kai. And even then, they still struggle with their new lifestyle. As though they are airbenders, they're not air nomads, they are Earth Kingdom citizens. Speaking of the Earth Queen, it speaks volumes that Ba Sing Se is the only place we see that is barely changed in 70 years since we last saw it. It still has its 3 rings that enforce inequality. Also, the Dai Li are still here and are still just as sinister as they were before. The Earth Kingdom itself is the symbol of holding on to an old system that benefits no one except the higher-ups, takes a toll on a nation, and makes it more prone to revolt, first with the bandits, and then with Zahir's coup. The Earth Kingdom is an old, decrepit, archaic state that holds on to the monarchy, the walls, and the Dai Li to maintain what has been working for centuries, thus it falling behind the other nations. Even before, it was inferior to the Fire Nation's rapid industrialization, surviving solely due to sheer manpower and size, kinda like a parallel of the Second Sino-Japanese War of 1937 to 1945, where Japan committed horrific atrocities they still deny to this day, yet China held on, solely due to the population overmight and landmass. But that didn't spare the people from the consequences. A commonly known tactic that Chinese nationalists used to hold off the Japanese was to flood its own lands to deter them from advancing. But such methods, and the regime that commands such actions, is unsustainable and doomed to fall eventually, be it from outside forces or from within. And this resulted in the rise of modern communist China. Here, instead of a communist uprising, the ones who took down the Earth Queen were the Red Lotus, with 4 members that can bend a different element, with a twist of their own. Zahir uses air to choke people, Gazan is a lava bender, Minghua lacks arms and uses water as a literal extension of her body, and Pili is Sparky Sparky Boom Girl. Together, they could be considered an actual avatar, the way they work together, and it shows, as it is only when they are separated from each other when they are finally defeated. They had already tried to kidnap the Avatar 13 years prior, with help from Unalaq, only for him to back down and deny his involvement. And while these 4 were detained, they never revealed their motive. And it's also a mystery to us, the audience, for over half the season, until Korra finally contacts Zahir in the spirit world, where it's revealed that they want anarchy. They disagree with the notion of world leaders and government. And given how many governments in universe and real life operate, I can see why. And due to the aforementioned inefficiency of the Earth Kingdom, when Zahir finally takes down the Queen, the entire nation instantly falls into chaos after centuries of resentment and miserable living conditions. Even the palace guards join in. That being said, not every place in the Earth Kingdom was this poor. There was a beacon of progress and technology the likes of the other nations. The city of Zaofu, built entirely upon metal by Suyin Beifong, Lin's sister. These two have a rough history, as Lin was a cop and Su hung out with people who ended up as criminals, while Toph didn't really intervene, instead pardoning Su and sending her off to build a new city. The sisters didn't talk to each other for the next 30 years. Lin especially took it badly. She never mentioned Su to anyone until now, and when she arrives, she lashes out at everyone until she goes to have an acupuncture session, which reveals the memories. The human mind can be scarred just as much as the body, and it may choose to hide traumatic memories, distorting them or burying them outright. It's a psychological self-defense mechanism to prevent cognitive strain, but it can have consequences when the causes of the trauma are revealed again. In Lin, this manifests in her trying to take on Su again and have a fight until she loses consciousness, as everything suddenly coming back to her shuts down her mind and forces a reset. This mini arc was amazing, one of my favorite episodes in the whole show. In the finale, Korra is tricked into turning herself over to Zahir in exchange for the Airbenders to go free. She's poisoned with mercury and forced into the Avatar state, so that they can break the cycle. The Avatar state is also something heavily debated within the fandom, as some say Korra uses it too much and for trivial things, while it may seem so, given Aang's inability to control it. That was mostly because he needed to align and unlock his chakras due to his turmoil of having run away and allowing a genocide to befall his people, among many other things. Korra has no such baggage, and thus she is ready to use the Avatar.
My name is Zan!
And I'm the Avatar! And thus she is ready to use the Avatar state at will, until the end of Season 3, when it's used against her. I also like how this final battle is a parallel to the Aang vs Ozai battle, even down to the location. After finally defeating him, the poison is mostly extracted, but the damage was done. She could no longer walk, she was broken mentally, she couldn't go into the Avatar state anymore. By the end of it all, she sacrificed her well-being for the Air Nation's survival, like Zuko suggested Aang would have done.
Of course I'm frustrated!
A crazy man poisoned me, and now I can't dress myself, or cook for myself, or do anything for myself. And this whole time, my friends have been off helping the world while I'm stuck with you, and you can't even heal me!
3 years pass by. Korra can now walk again, but her scars linger on. She gets flashes of herself in the worst moment of her life, and is overwhelmed. She has become her own worst enemy, and can't seem to escape. So she runs off to reconnect with her spiritual self. But she never succeeds, until she runs into old Toph, who hasn't changed a bit since the original series, and I love that. She was already in my top 3 favorite characters. She even calls Korra Twinkle Toes. She eventually manages to take the remaining poison out of her body and can go into the Avatar state again, and immediately goes to confront Kuvira. During Korra's absence, the Earth Kingdom still hadn't stabilized on its own, and Kuvira, frustrated by Sue's lack of action, took it upon herself to restore order by any means necessary. Initially, she agreed to step down as soon as all regions were pacified, but when the time came, she refused to step aside, justifying it as not letting the nation fall back into the Dark Ages, a military dictatorship promising progress and change from an old, inefficient, monarchic system. Like Tarrlok, Kuvira mirrors real-life fascism and authoritarian takeovers in the wake of a sluggish state falling into crisis. When a nation with a corrupt, incompetent leadership encounters any sort of strain that hits the vast majority of the population, people tend to radicalize in either political direction, left or right, communism or fascism, and the latter is much more generally accepted in international politics than the former. To this very day, we know this from our own history, both in Italy and in Germany. After World War I, Europe was in shambles, and many radical ideologies started to gain traction. Russia had fallen to the communists and started industrializing like never before, and this sparked fear in the rest of Europe, as they knew their own people could start to believe that communism would grant them a better life. So their governments took a harsh stance against any left-wing uprisings in their territories and also neighboring nations. The Italian king chose to side with Mussolini out of fear of being dethroned, while the German Freikorps militias stomped down on socialist elements in the Weimar Republic. And a similar event happens with the Earth Kingdom, as the leaders of the other nations assigned Kuvira to bring the hammer down on the revolting citizens, and 3 years later, she was in absolute control, and after taking Zaofu and defeating Korra, she turned her attention to Republic City. Losing territory as a nation is almost always humiliating. Sometimes it can even be treated as a national catastrophe. But what is worse than losing it as a consequence to defeat in a war? Losing land after winning the war, which is what happened to the Earth Kingdom. Instead of the former Fire Nation colonies being returned to it, they became a fifth nation, causing its claim to existence to be rather shaky. And now that the Earth Empire finally caught up technologically, thanks to Kuvira, the final battle is about to begin. But before all that, I want to take a quick moment to talk about the recap episode, which has by far the worst rating on IMDb, a staggering 5.7 out of 10, when the average rating is 8.3. What could have possibly been so bad about this episode in particular? Oh, it's just the characters recounting events we have already seen, with Mako recounting that not-so-good love triangle history and Prince Wu poking fun at it, Korra telling Asami stuff about herself she already kinda knew, and a thing I would normally complain about is Tenzin telling the audience that Korra has changed since she first arrived, that she is no longer as selfish as in season 1, but honestly, given what is either a large group of fans or a very loud minority, I think the spoon feeding was necessary. And then there's Varrick's epic tale of Nuktuk, hero of the South, Nay, hero of the world! Easily the best part of this episode, as Varrick does his usual thing and gasses up Bolin as some mighty hero, even crediting him with some of Korra's achievements. They even plaster Bolin's face onto blue Korra in some of the shoddiest Photoshop looking scene I have ever seen. And then there's the poking fun at the evil Unalaq, who isn't even portrayed by the real guy, is just the actor in the movers playing him. But like, for real now, what happened to Zombie Amon? I need to know! Varrick is the embodiment of capitalism, promising innovation while quietly profiting off of everything he sponsors: wars, movers, technological inventions. Which leads us to the Spirit Vines, where Varrick becomes an Oppenheimer of sorts, creating a weapon of mass destruction. He suddenly realizes how it could affect the world and tries to stop, only to be forced to continue by Kuvira. After some bluffing to blow up the train and getting them off his tail, he was bluffing, right? No! Varrick is dead! Oh, he's alive. And they arrive at the labor camp, where water and firebenders are being imprisoned. A clear parallel to how Nazi Germany was throwing all people they deemed as non-Aryan into extermination camps. Now, I get that Bolin wouldn't know this stuff, but Varrick? He was with Kuvira's inner circle for years. He must have known about this. They free a group of prisoners and get on a boat, the same where the story was told. Now, why does this episode even exist to begin with? Well, there were budget cuts for the show, and the ones in charge were left with two options: either fire some of the staff, or make this episode on a low budget. I'm personally glad they chose the latter, as it shows some genuine care for the people who created this series. I also like that Korra has to confront Zahir again to be able to get to the spirit world again and fully heal from the trauma he inflicted upon her. It was a very heart-touching moment, especially seeing him feel remorse and acknowledging that the Avatar has limitless power. Bolin, Opal, Lin, and Toph freeing the Beifongs, on top of Zhu Li betraying Kuvira, was also fun to watch. But even her intel wasn't enough to prevent the arrival of the Colossus, the super weapon Kuvira was working on. Now, my one problem with this ending is that Kuvira and her inner circle aren't held accountable properly. Bolin? Oh, he just gets Opal. Varrick? He wins back Zhu Li and they get married. But Tar Jr.? He's accepted back into the family. The only one suffering any sort of consequences is Kuvira, who gets locked up. It's the equivalent of all the Nazis at the Nuremberg trials being pardoned, and it just feels off. Almost as if fascism is somehow a better ideology than communism and anarchism. It's also telling that everyone was willing to give Prince Wu the title of Earth King, even if he rejected that position and chose to let the states become independent. It's almost as if everyone is trying to maintain an old, comfortable, familiar status quo and rejecting any sort of change that could benefit the people. Sure, it works out in the end, but what if Wu still wanted to be king with the likes of his aunt? Then the Earth Kingdom would have remained stagnant and corrupt and would have fallen even further behind all the other nations. But other than these issues, I like this ending. A new spirit portal was created, and Korra and Asami finally get together. And they only got this late because Nickelodeon was too chicken shit to make them a fully fledged couple on screen because... what was it again? Oh, right, it would turn every kid watching into a lesbian. Wow, that sounds even dumber now that I say it out loud. I'm glad movies and shows made progress in the 12 years since, and are no longer afraid of depicting LGBTQ+ characters and relationships. But we still have a long way to go before they are given the same rights and opportunities as us. I also appreciate that they subvert the worn-out trope where the villain monologues about how they and the hero aren't so different after all, as instead it's Korra pointing it out, and it actually makes sense. They are both ambitious and strive to do what they feel is right, even if their visions are contradictory. But for real now, if I see one more interaction where a hero who feeds the homeless and refugees of war would never hurt a fly, and a villain who eats children on some island while waging detrimental wars and drops bombs on schools and hospitals, and the villain is talking about some "you and I are not so different," I am going to wish you a Merry Christmas, everyone. What? What the fuck are you doing here? There's like 4 months left until Christmas. What the hell?
Oh, well, it's never too early to celebrate the Christmas spirit, now seen within the new Avatar series.
Okay. I love this series, almost as much as Avatar The Last Airbender. It has more flaws, sure, but it also improves upon certain aspects. It delves much deeper into the politics of the 4, now 5, nations, and shows that evil doesn't come just in the form of the Fire Nation. It can come from anywhere and from anyone. And most villains are multidimensional. They have a backstory, a motive, a reason to believe they're right, and we as an audience understand why they feel that way. Sometimes they can make a little too good of a point. I feel like the series gets way too much hate because it's not the same as The Last Airbender, and that's okay. They don't have to be the same, as long as Korra is compelling and fun to watch, which I say it mostly is. Not all criticism comes down to misogyny. Some of it is perfectly valid and I agree with some of it, like how they changed the spirits, how Unalaq was just a mustache-twirling villain, or how badly the love triangle was handled. But I feel like if Korra was a guy and was dating a bunch of girls from his group, there will be a lot less complaints. I will be back with a continuation once we get the context in Seven Havens and see what Korra really did to get the world to whatever this is. Seriously now, what the hell happened? What did Korra do?